everyone, welcome back to Gracie May's Tarot. So our video topic for today is going to be how your future spouse will describe you to their friends. So this video was requested by a subscriber, so a huge thank you to that subscriber. We have 3 groups to choose from today. For pile 1, we have this heart card. We have pile 2. And we have pile 3. So take a moment, pause the video if you need to, meditate on the groups. The timestamps are listed below in the description box, just like always. I'm also trying out something new with the thumbnails, so you'll see some different thumbnails on my channel probably in the month of August. So just let me know, like I'm pretty sure this one has a unique thumbnail. Let me know how you feel about it. You can also choose your group according to the picture in the thumbnail. So you have both options available to you. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking about. Let me know what you think about the thumbnail, if you don't mind, in the comment section. All right, so I'll see you guys in your reading. Hey pile 1, welcome to your reading. This card is actually going to be a message from your future spouse's higher self. What do you need to know at the time of this reading? So we're actually going to end your reading with this card. So we're going to put this to the side and we'll save it for the end. So pile 1, we're using different tarot decks for each group today. So you chose, without knowing, the Golden Girls Tarot. So with the Golden Girls Tarot, I kind of feel like your future spouse has either a very close-knit group of friends or they have a large social circle. So they either have a few really good friends or they have a lot of friends, but I definitely feel like they value their friendships are important to them, they share a lot with their friends, so definitely like their friends will be a part of your life as well after you guys get married. But let's see pile 1. How your future spouse will describe you to their friends. And I pre-pulled your oracle cards today, so we're shuffling the tarot on camera, but we have pre-pulled oracles. All right, pile 1. How will your future spouse describe you to their friends? What do we need to know? Pile 1. We have the 5 of Cups in the reverse. We have the Tower in the reverse. Let's see. We have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. And we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. This is kind of funny. Upright, we have Justice as your bottom of the deck card. So we'll put this to the side here. This is a very, very sweet message, pile 1. I am loving this. It feels like your future spouse has kind of felt like, at least romantically, things have been outside of their control. Like they have been feeling like they've been crushed by this wheel. Like, why have I been having this string of bad luck, this string of bad relationships, or maybe it was just one significant partnership that ended, but they kind of just feel like luck hasn't been on their side. Like, why does the universe have it out for me, kind of thing? Like, why do I keep meeting the same version of this person? Or why do I keep attracting relationships where I'm lied to or betrayed, or, you know, where they're just being deceptive about who they are, and then I find out too late that we're actually not compatible because they were putting up a facade, you know, things like that that you encounter in the dating world. And yeah, it feels like to them, you represent a departure from that. They don't feel like they're having to put in all the effort, all the work, you know, in those early stages of getting to know someone. They don't feel like they're having to carry the conversation. They don't feel like they're always reaching out to you, and they don't feel like they're having to chase you. And they also don't feel like you are, you know, you're not disappointing them, you're not disrupting their life. And it feels like, oh, okay, finally, I'm getting someone in my life that I deserve. I'm getting someone who's going to treat me well, a relationship that's going to be balanced, fair, healthy, you know, like I'm not feeling like I'm just being crushed by like fate. You know, it feels like fate is finally on their side, like destiny is on their side, like things are working out for them finally. And I think it just feels good. You know, they feel like they've won something. They feel very happy. And I think a lot of that comes down to is that they feel like you're honest, they feel like you're trustworthy, they feel like you have good intentions towards them. And so it puts a smile on their face for sure. Because again, like relationships are very important to your future spouse. So they could be a Libra, they could have a lot of 7th house placements, they could just be, you know, an empathetic, compassionate person. Rose on the TV show, she is very sweet, but she's also a little bit naive, you know, and she assumes the best in people, and she assumes everyone has good intentions, and she's definitely the nicest out of the whole cast. So this could be like your future spouse's energy, you know, they're just very loving, very sweet, and that could be why, you know, they've been taken advantage of a bit in the past. But yeah, you represent a departure from that, and so I feel like they're talking to their friends and they're like, oh my gosh, this person is so different than who I've been dating. Like this person feels just like they're nothing like X, Y, and Z, you know, they're nothing like my ex, you know, they're completely different. And so it just feels kind of like they're gushing about all the ways that you are different from what the cards they've been dealt before is kind of like the energy there that's coming through. Let's actually get just a couple more tarot cards. I'm feeling that for you because you got so many reversals. Also with Justice and Libra energy being here, they definitely find you like physically attractive. Let's see, pile 1. Oh my gosh, again, the Devil in reverse. Like, they just really want to stress that. They have been with people who were just treating them so badly. And you are such a departure from that. That's too many cards. You just want... Oh, there we go. 2 of Cups. Yep, again. Like, they are really just gushing over and over again. Like, they just see you as this healthy, happy, like, potential partner. You know, they just see you as someone who could give them a fair and balanced connection. Like, I feel like they're just so sick of being screwed over. Like, they are just so tired of it. And so I feel like they can't stop smiling because they feel like, okay, I can trust someone again, you know? I think it's very healing for them. And bottom of the deck here, you have Queen of Cups. So again, like, I feel like they see you as someone who is like them. Like, okay, this is someone who is nurturing and sweet and loving just like I am. So I don't have to worry, you know? Like, they feel like you guys share enough in common where they don't have to worry that you're going to, you know, again, like, screw them over. So I feel like their divine feminine recognizes the divine feminine in you, and that's coming through as well. Remember, we're just talking about energy, we're not talking about gender. But they definitely see you as this Queen of Cups, you know? They see that you have something to offer in this connection. I mean, even the fact that Rose and Miles, they're in a relationship on the show, and then you have Rose repeating here, and she's, you know, like your upright cards. So you can see, like, in the past, your future spouse was so disappointed at the relationships that didn't work out, and now they feel so happy, and it's because they have found you. It's like they have found their match. I really like that. Let's get into, also obviously this is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces energy. That doesn't have to be your zodiac sign, but it could be some significant placements in your birth chart, or it could just be, again, they are perceiving you in that water energy, someone who is emotionally intelligent, someone who is, you know, kind, nurturing, all of those things. All right, let's look at your oracle here. We have Joy. Yes, like, I feel like they just can't stop smiling when they are talking about you to their friends. It says, as I do will, so mote it be. Let joy and light radiate from me. Yeah, that joy, that happiness is radiating outwards. Like they have like a pep in their step, you know, they're smiling, they're laughing more. You know, it's like the light has come back in, you know, it's like you've rejuvenated them. It's reminding me of the scene in 500 Days of Summer where he sleeps with Summer for the first time. And when he's walking through the park, like a musical number starts out of nowhere, and then there's like the hand-drawn like Disney like birds and animals come out, and they're all singing with him, and there's a dance number. And yeah, like that's kind of like the feeling that I'm getting from this. Like they just feel like they're on top of the world, you know, they feel like they feel like their prayer has been answered. Like the type of person they've been wanting has finally come into their life. We have confidence here, and we have euphoria. Euphoria is a cosmic connection to the magic within and around you. Self-confidence opens you up to the energy required to carry you through each day at your very best. I feel like they see you as someone who's really confident and self-assured. Definitely with this repeating yellow theme here, you could be a Leo. With the pink here, maybe an Aries, Sagittarius. You know, there's just fire sign energy that's coming out now. But I feel like you are making them more confident. You are creating this state of euphoria within them, you know, like they definitely have probably like a rose-colored glasses like image of you in the beginning. They definitely are like head over heels, like you hit them like a freight train. Like, you know, it's like Cupid's arrow kind of thing. Like they feel like, oh, like this is the one, you know, like they just feel. And some of their friends may be looking at them like, oh, sure. Like, oh, sure, this person is the one. Oh, sure. You know, because they may be looking at your future spouse's romantic history and being like, well, the rest of it didn't work out, you know. So they may be kind of putting a little bit of rain on your future spouse's parade, but I don't think it's getting to your future spouse. It feels like they're on cloud 9 right now. They're just so happy. I can't stop smiling. So like I know this is definitely their energy affecting me right now, which is great because I'm just starting off my day. So I'm very happy to be in this energy with your future spouse's higher self. Yeah, like they really have this energy of like just sitting in their own field of heart-shaped flowers. Like they're just so happy. Yeah, there's such joy there. I feel like you guys are definitely going to laugh a lot together. This definitely feels like a relationship where you would have so much fun together. It has this lighthearted, let's be kids together, kind of like let's be silly and goofy and have fun and joke around. And you know, it definitely feels like if other aspects of your life are really heavy and really stressful, this would be like an escape from that, you know. And there really is a sense of euphoria, like, you know, all those hormones are like, you know, going, all those neurotransmitters are releasing like the dopamine and the serotonin, and like they just feel so good around you, and just talking about you puts them back in that energy, you know. And their friends are probably tired of hearing about you, quite frankly. But they are, I think also though, their friends in all seriousness would be very happy that you have come into their life, and would be really relieved, I think, once they meet you and they see that you are like the real deal. I think they would feel a lot better about it, because there is this energy of their friends being protective over them and being worried that you're going to be like their past partners or their past, you know, situationships, and that you are going to hurt them in some way. And so like once they meet you and they have that anxiety alleviated, then I think that they like welcome you with open arms, you know, like you're part of the friend group, you're part of the social circle, the family, you know. I think that they are so grateful to you, that you are bringing this happiness and this joy to your future spouse's life. Because again, like your future spouse deserves this, you know, they definitely deserve this. We have affection. Yeah, I feel like they're just going to be very sweet with you, very affectionate. You know, I don't feel like you're going to have to guess about how your future spouse feels about you. I feel like that's going to be very evident. And I think that when they speak about you to their friends, it is with great affection, you know? It's even just the small little details about you that they notice, you know? They're telling me, like, when you smile, like the way your eyes crinkle, like, I know that may not sound like very flattering, but they like that, you know, like they like the little small details about you, you know, like the way your hair looks when the sun hits it. Like, your future spouse is a real romantic, so I think that they're going to notice little small details about you, you know, like the way that you always smell a certain way, you know, like maybe you're known for wearing a certain kind of perfume or fragrance, you know, or it could just be, you know, like your natural smell, your pheromones, but they're just drawn to that, you know, they're just drawn to the way that you are, you know, like they'll talk about how much they love the sound of your laugh or they love your smile, you know, things like that really draw them in. Oh yeah, fire sign energy, yep. And we have Jupiter. So you could be a Sagittarius for sure. You could also, again, have Leo or Aries placements. You could have significant placements in the 1st, 5th, or 9th house. I also see, though, like, yes, they are perceiving you kind of in this perfect balance. Remember, in the very beginning, we said that they were perceiving you in this water energy. Well, the opposite element to water is fire. So they're seeing you in a very balanced way. Like, they see you in that confident, adventurous, fun-loving, sort of creative fire sign energy, but they also see you in that water, nurturing, emotional, spiritual sense. So there's a real balanced way to how they're perceiving you and how they're describing you to their friends. And the way that looks like to me is they're being like, oh, this person is the full package. Like, they're everything I've ever wanted, you know, and it's because of that balance that's coming through. I also feel like they just see you as someone who's going to expand their life as well, because Jupiter talks about luck and expansion. This is, you know, like the happiest of planets. And so I feel like they perceive you as someone who is expanding their world, someone who is adding love and luck and harmony to their world. And I think these are qualities they admire about you: confidence, optimism, passion, bravery. I know we've talked about that, but hey, it bears repeating. They really love those things about you. And they love your heart, you know, like they really see you as someone who is pure of heart. It's definitely coming through. Oh my gosh, you got Wild Violet too. So this card, when you look in the guidebook, one of the key words associated with this card is romance. So again, I think that your future spouse is a real romantic at heart. And I think that they're really going to try to tailor their love language to match yours. You know, like they want to express their love to you in a way that's going to be comfortable and make sense to you. Okay? So like, you know, if their love language, for example, is gift giving, but maybe you're uncomfortable with people buying you a lot of stuff, but you really like when people tell you how they feel. So then they may say, okay, I see that they're maybe a little bit uncomfortable with all these gifts that I'm buying them, all these places I'm spending money on them, you know, things like that. So I am going to just make sure I tell them how I feel, make sure they know every day how I feel about them. I'm going to tell them, you know, I'm going to do that words of affirmation. So they're going to, again, like really try to figure out what it is that you find romantic, how you like to be loved, and they're going to make sure that they are expressing their love to you in that manner, which is very sweet. I also feel like they just think of you as someone who's like one in a million, you know, like they just feel like, oh, I'm so glad that I met this person. I'm so grateful that the stars aligned the way they did for me to meet this person. And it could be that, you know, you guys meet in an unusual way, you know, and so that's why they feel that sense of gratitude, like, oh, I could have missed them, you know, and so there's just this gratitude of like having met you, and they may be, you know, sharing that story of how you guys met with their friends. But yeah, they just think you're so special. They just think you're so special. Oh my gosh, we have balance. Yeah, balance all day long. Like, you've gotten 3 cards now about balance because you also got the 2 of Cups in the very beginning. So they do. They feel like they have met their match. They feel like they have met their other half. You know, they feel like also that you are a balanced person, that you are going to be representing what they are needing and wanting in a relationship. And I feel like this is also a nice message because this is coming through like they're accepting all parts of you. You know, they're not just going to be accepting of your light attributes. They are also going to be accepting and understanding of your shadow attributes, which is very freeing and very wonderful. And that signals to me, you know, as close to unconditional love, I think, as you can get realistically. Then we have strings here. I feel like in the past, your future spouse really felt manipulated in their connections. Like, they really felt like they were emotionally manipulated in the past, and they felt like they ended up with partners who tried to control them. And so you can see here, it's kind of looking like these strings are cut or at least burned by like this fire here. And so it does feel like the heat, the warmth of your heart, that fire energy, the way that you have this independent side to you is very reassuring to them, because they don't feel like you are going to be trying to control them or be, you know, overly codependent or, you know, manipulating them because you don't have your own light. You know, they don't feel like they have that concern with you. We have the vulture and a word I can't say, and it's representing upheaval. And then we have the antelope and wheat nourishment. It does feel like you're representing a massive change in their life. It definitely feels like they could look back at their life and say, this was my life before I met this person, and this is after. And so there also may be some changes going on, because we are talking about how they would describe you to their friends. It kind of feels like there may be a little bit of an issue in the beginning with them balancing their time with you and their time with their friends, because again, their friends play a key role in their life. And so there may be a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of like having to figure out how to manage their time, you know, with their friends and you. Because I do sense a little bit of possessiveness from their friends, but it's from a good place. Like, you know, it's from them wanting to protect their friend, from them not wanting their friend to get hurt again, you know. And again, I feel like that will go away once they get to know you better, and then you will be included in the group activities, you know, with their friends. But I think in the beginning, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, you know, you figuring their friends out and their friends figuring you out. And then we have nourishment here. I do feel like your future spouse feels like you are nourishing their soul, you know? It feels like you have awakened something in them, because I think maybe they were at a point where they were ready to give up. They had lost all hope. You know, they were just like, fine, if this is what it is, this is what it is. I'm done. I'm not even looking for love. And then you come along. Like, that's how it feels like to me. All right, and then we have the archetype that your future spouse perceives you as. We have the goddess, light attribute, the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. So, remember, we're just talking about energy, we're not talking about gender, but it really feels like to me like your future spouse loves your divine feminine side, and they really put you on this pedestal, like in the beginning at least, you know. They really, probably this is why, again, like, I feel like your future spouse's friends are like, are they serious? Like, are we really, oh, this again, you know? Like, they're worried that your future spouse is getting ahead of themselves, and they are, you know, seeing you in, again, like a rose-colored glasses sort of way, but fortunately, I don't think that's the case. But I just think that the love that they feel for you, you know, is very, you know, in some ways maybe overwhelming to them. And so I think that they're overwhelmed with joy and happiness, and I think that their friends are trying to bring them back down to earth a little bit, and ground this energy and tell them not to get ahead of themselves. And honestly, they may need to hear those messages so they don't scare you off and they don't like come on too strongly. So I think that their friends in some ways are really good for them at, like, you know, having them calm this energy down, because they are really very much in love with you and very enamored by you. All right, I'm gonna get a sip of my coffee. When I said sip, I meant like 3 large gulps. All right, so let's end your reading now. Remember, this is a message from your future spouse's higher self. What do you need to know right now? Oh my gosh. Romance again. You did get romance, didn't you? Yeah, because you got the Wild Violet card. Yeah. We've got romance. Cupid's arrow strikes. I feel like your future spouse is giving you this message because I feel like it's telling us quite a lot in not many words. It's telling me that you and your future spouse are both going to have sort of a love at first sight feeling, and I think it's more of just kind of like your intuition. You know, it's like you see them and everything else falls away. And so I think that both of you may be a bit like on cloud 9, feeling euphoric, feeling so happy, so in love. And I feel like it's just a message from them, like, remember to ground, remember to not neglect other areas of your life, you know? And I also feel like it's signaling that this person could come into your life unexpectedly, or that they could have a significant impact on your life very quickly. Like they take, how do I say it? Like they take precedence over other areas of your life very quickly. Like they quickly become a priority. They quickly become sort of the center of your world very quickly, is the message that's coming through here. But I also feel like this is your future spouse telling you, like, get ready for a lot of romance. Like, get ready for a lot of love. Like, get ready for this, because I have so much love that I'm wanting to share with you, and I've been waiting for you for quite a long time. And, you know, like, I'm ready to have this beautiful, loving, warm relationship with you, and I'm so excited. You know, like, get ready, get prepared for this, pile 1. So pile 1, thank you so much for letting me do this reading for you. If you don't mind, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads, and I want to say a huge thank you to the subscriber who suggested this video topic, and also to anyone who's been supporting the channel. Thank you so, so, so much. And yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Take care, pile 1. Hey pile 2, welcome to your reading. So we're actually going to be looking at this card at the very end. I did use different tarot decks for each group, and I will say I just really like how some of the colors here match the colors in the tarot deck, like the blues and the pinks and the purples. It's just very, I don't know, I like that little synchronicity there. It's very cute. But yeah, we'll look at that card at the very end of your reading. So you chose the Pastel Journey Tarot, inadvertently, but you did choose it. So I will say with this deck in particular, I do feel like your future spouse sees you as someone who's quite magical, you know, like they definitely see you as a bit like kind of almost in an angelic sense, like where did you come from? Like, you know, like they just see you as like almost like you came into their life like a fairy tale kind of thing. Like, where did you come from? Like, what is happening? Definitely kind of like this feeling of like, oh, the stars are aligning, like fate, destiny has brought us together. Just with like the constellations here and the moon, like it definitely, and even just the shape of the moon, because I've been watching Sailor Moon for the first time as an adult, so I'm sure you'll be hearing like me reference Sailor Moon a lot now because I've been binge watching it. But you know, Sailor Moon talks a lot about soulmates and the red thread of fate and destiny, and it's a common like theme, you know, throughout, and reincarnation and past lives and, you know, all that kind of good stuff, astrology especially as well. So it even mentions tarot, but you know, just that idea of like soulmate energy, when I look at this deck, I do think of Sailor Moon and soulmates and all that stuff. So that could be how your future spouse is perceiving you. Even if they wouldn't use that language, like they're not into spirituality and stuff like that, that's how they would feel. All right, so pile 2, how would your future spouse describe you to their friends? What do we need to know? Pile 2, please, Spirit. And a big thank you to my guides and your guides for coordinating these messages. Pile 2. And I will say I'm also using pre-pulled oracle cards, so we're just shuffling your tarot on camera today. I'm kind of laughing to myself right now. Oh yeah. I had like this sudden message when the King of Pentacles came out, but I always hold back because I want to see all the cards, you know, in context. I don't want to spend forever on one card until I've seen like the full picture. Because I always like to read the cards like as a story, not necessarily just each individual card. It's just my preference. But let's get into it because I'm going on and on. We have the King of Pentacles, we have the 10 of Swords, we have the 9 of Cups, and the 8 of Swords. So, the message that came out right away when the King of Pentacles came out, I didn't see this as you. I saw this as your future spouse's energy. So this is Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. Doesn't mean your future spouse has to have that as like their sun sign. It could be their sun, moon, Mars, Venus, their rising sign. Could just be the energy that you perceive them as. But this is also divine masculine energy. But the message that came through right away is that this is your future spouse wanting to offer something to you. And this energy of them wanting to take care of you, wanting to help you in some way, offer some assistance in some way. And I don't know, it feels like you are meeting your future spouse at a time in your life where you're feeling quite trapped and you're feeling quite stuck. And so the 8 of Swords, this can talk about self-limiting beliefs. It can also talk about being in an environment where other people are really putting you down, and the way that that manifests is then you internalize it and you start to have negative thoughts and feelings about yourself, and that's what creates all these swords around you. So it could be the influence of other people affecting your self-concept, or it could just be your own self-limiting beliefs, but honestly those usually go back to childhood, and those are usually a product of our environment as well. Or even if we want to get really into it, could be even generational like karma and trauma and stuff that you have to clear. But anyway, 8 of Swords, you're feeling trapped, you're feeling stuck. 10 of Swords, especially with the way it's depicted here, I always think of apathy. I think of resilience with the 10 of Swords too, but I also think of apathy, of growing content with the loss, you know, the disappointment, the pain, the hurt, you know, getting used to it, getting used to this mental prison, getting used to this emotional prison. And, you know, it's like your future spouse is coming in and like wanting to almost like save the day, like wanting to help you out, seeing you in this way hurts them. They don't want to see you in this energy. Not at all. And they know that you're capable of so much more. And it's also not like they're not seeing your strength. Because that's the thing, like they really see how strong you are to have endured everything that you've been through, but they also feel like you don't deserve to be in this energy a minute longer. And so when they're describing you to their friends, they're gonna say, like, this person has been through so much. This person has been through things that no one should ever have to go through. This person deserves so much better than what they've gotten, and I want to help them. And so it feels like your future spouse is in a position to help you. Now, the way that this help comes about is going to vary, because it's going to depend upon how are you trapped? You know, how are you stuck? Is it financially? You know, is it emotionally? Is it, you know, like, what is it? What is keeping you stuck? What is keeping you trapped? They want to offer help in some way. And with the Nine of Cups, they see you as a wish come true, but they also see you as someone that, like, they want to help you fulfill your wishes, you know? And it's not, again, there is a little bit of like, you know, I want to save them, but it's also not in a way where they don't see your strength and your power and your capabilities. You know, it's more of like, I know that they can do this. I want to help them save themselves is probably a better way of describing this. And so I feel like if you're watching this reading and you're not in this energy at all, it may be some time before you actually meet your future spouse, because this energy doesn't happen overnight. These swords have built up over time. This is chronic stress, okay? This is chronic disappointment. This is chronic, you know, pain. Like this is a lot of losses, you know? It's not just one significant loss. It's something that has built up over time. You know, and if you're not resonating with that at all, this could just be not your group, and that's okay. So you might need to select another. We've got the Hermit here. Yeah, they would really describe you as someone who, Queen of Swords. I knew she was going to make an appearance. I just knew it. Okay, let's get into this. They see you as someone who's been on their own, okay? Like, and the thing is that these are two energies that are actually really empowered energies. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't want you to feel like they see you as someone who is weak. If anything, they see you as someone who is incredibly strong and resilient, but they still see you as stuck because it's like you're not seeing your own power to transform this. And that could be why they come into your life, because they show you your own power. Or maybe you weren't seeing it before. They remind you who you are. And they're describing you to their friends as someone who, again, like you've been on your own, out in the cold, with only your own light. This is Virgo energy as well. And then we have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius energy. But again, I wouldn't get too hung up on the zodiac signs, because this is, again, like how they're perceiving you in the beginning. And I mean, you can be like, I've definitely been in my Queen of Swords energy, and I'm a Leo, you know, but my moon's in Gemini. So like these different sides to ourselves like come out in different ways. But like, I wouldn't get too hung up on the zodiac signs, I'll say that. Especially for this group, because there's like big energy here. But yeah, they just see you as someone who's had to go on their own. So you may be someone where you can't rely on your family, or maybe you don't have close family members. You know, you can't, maybe you don't have very many friends, or you can't rely upon them, or you're a great distance from your friends, and so they can't immediately offer you help. But it just feels like you've been on your own in a lot of ways. Like you've had to deal with a lot. You've had to come to rely upon yourself, and it's taken its toll, you know, and it's led you to this isolation. And with this Queen of Swords, this is someone who's quite guarded, someone who has like pretty strong boundaries up. And even though she's a divine feminine, she's the most divine masculine of the divine feminines, like if that makes sense. Like the Queen of Swords is someone who is even though she's a divine feminine, she's close to the masculine energy because she's representing rationality and logic and the mental side of things. You know, she's holding the sword here. Like, even that is a phallic image, okay? Like, and she is very empowered. You know, the sword is a symbol of power and authority, and she has the ability to cut through all of this. She has the ability to stand up, which is incredible. Like, she should be dead. She has the ability to stand up here. She has the ability to go through life with nothing but her own light. Like, you are so incredibly strong, Pile 2. And I think that would be something that your future spouse would just be like, even, I don't think that you share your whole story with your future spouse, but it's like they know enough about you and they feel you, you know, like they feel that pain and they know there's a reason why you have these walls up. And so when they're describing you to their friends, they're like, this person has been through something. I don't know the full story yet, but they've been through it. They've been through hell and back, and like, I want to help them. And I feel like you would be resistant to that help. I feel like you would be suspicious of it. You might not trust it. I don't think that you would be willing to let this person in. I think that your future spouse would be like, I want to get to know them better, but I don't know how to get them to emotionally open up to me. They won't be vulnerable. You know, it feels like you're not willing to be vulnerable. It feels like you're resistant to this connection in the beginning. It feels like you're quite suspicious or distrustful of it because you've been burned so much before, Pile 2. And they would definitely see you as someone who knows themselves really well, though, because the Queen of Swords is someone who is very reflective, like very mentally self-reflective, and then the Hermit is all about self-reflection. This is a deep personal journey, you know, a journey you go on your own. This is like, you know, dark soul, you know, dark soul of the night kind of energy here, like really coming to know yourself and who you are. And so it does feel like you're quite a mature, evolved person, and your future spouse would recognize that about you. Like, oh, this is someone who knows themselves very deeply. It feels like they're just in awe of you. And honestly, your future spouse may have had a life that was a lot easier than yours. And so that is also why they're so wanting to help you, because your future spouse kind of feels like they've had maybe not everything handed to them, but they've had an easier go at life. You know, they come from a more privileged background than you. They've had more resources just given to them. And so they look at you and they're like, I want to share some of this with you because you've had nothing handed to you. Like, you know, and they want to help you, you know, and it feels like, Pile 2, you have a dream. You have something that you're wanting to achieve, and your future spouse admires that about you. They admire that you're ambitious. They admire that you're goal-oriented, and they're like, let me help you get there. Let me help you do this. Let me help you transform this. And it kind of feels like, again, like you're suspicious of that. You don't quite trust that. All right, let's get into your oracles, Pile 2. I knew you were going to be a cool group. I just knew it. I just had a feeling. Sorry, I had to get a sip of coffee. Okay. We have Destiny. I'm sorry, this just really tickles me. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the beginning I was talking about how this deck reminds me of Sailor Moon. Like, even the way the swords are drawn here, I don't know what season I'm watching. Maybe it's season 4 of the 90s version, but there's like this whole Pegasus story arc, and the Pegasus gives Sailor Moon this like special sword like wand thing, and it looks like this, like with the heart with the wings, and it just reminds me of like outside help, you know, unexpected assistance. And it's almost like, again, like your future spouse is wanting to offer you that help, but you're not willing to take it. But again, like destiny, soulmates, like there's that energy there. You know, all that I shall need to know as I walk shall now be known. Yeah, it does feel like your future spouse feels like you guys were meant to meet each other. You were meant to help each other. It definitely gives me like joint soul mission vibes, especially with the 8 here. I think of the 8 of Pentacles, and you also have the 8 of Swords here. So it's almost like your future spouse wants to take you from the 8 of Swords to the 8 of Pentacles. Because again, like they want to help you. It does feel like a career goal. Like it does feel like, especially because we have the King of Pentacles here, it does feel like you have some sort of career goal, some sort of vision for like what you want to do for like your soul's purpose. And it's related to your finances, and your future spouse wants to help you make that vision a reality because they do see you as being capable of being in that 8 of Pentacles energy. You know, like they do feel like you have this expertise, this skill, this knowledge that should be shared with the world and not just kept for yourself. And so they want to help you bring that vision to reality here. But yeah, they definitely would describe you to their friends as, you know, maybe they wouldn't use the language of soulmates if they don't believe in soulmates, but they would definitely say like, this is my person, you know, like I do think they would probably describe you as their soulmate, but for some of you, maybe they wouldn't use that language, but it would be the meaning, the sentiment would be, this is my soulmate. So we have Chakra Fairy. I should also show you the back of these cards because they're so pretty. We have Chakra Fairy, and we have, oh, Jewel of the Sea. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I love this card. You can see how she's looking at this little lotus flower here. I think it's a lotus flower. It might not be, but I just view it as a lotus flower, and it looks like there's this little pearl above it. Let me bring that closer so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, this card talks about looking at something as being precious, as being special. And lotus flowers grow through the mud. And then the amount of pressure it takes to create a pearl, right? Like it feels like this is something special. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. This is something that's unique. This is not something that's easily found. Like that's how they would describe you, like as being something so precious to them. You know, like they just see you as like, this is not, they see you as someone who's unique, you know, like this is not your average type of person, you know, like it really kind of feels like they've never met anyone like you before. And I do feel like you guys come from very different backgrounds. Like it feels like they may come from a wealthier, more privileged background, and you have had to work and earn everything is kind of like the feeling that I'm getting. And that's not saying your future spouse isn't hardworking or intelligent or talented or anything like that. It's just saying that they don't have to be, you know, like they would have success either way because of the status of their family is kind of the message that's coming through, whereas you have really had to work for every little bit of anything that you've ever had. So again, it just feels like they've had a more privileged starting place, but I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sniffly. It just feels like they kind of look at you and marvel at you, like they're so curious to get to know more about you. And again, I feel like you have a lot of walls up about that, but I feel like the more you pull away, the more they move closer to you. They just want to know more. They're so curious to know more about you, and you're such a curiosity to them. Kind of like Ariel when she looks at the fork and she thinks it's a thingamabob, like she thinks it's a hairbrush, you know, like everything is very fascinating to her because it's so different from her world. That's kind of like how your future spouse views you, you know, like your world, where you come from, is so different to them. And it could even be that you guys are physically from different cultures, you know, there could be a difference in like your religion, your race, your ethnicity, the country that you're from, your nationality is the word I'm looking for. You know, it could just be, you know, again, like this feeling of like we're from different worlds, or maybe you're a very spiritual person, but they're a very grounded person, you know, again, like it just feels like you're from two different perspectives here. But yeah, they're very curious to get to know more about you. And with the Chakra Fairy, it kind of gives me this feeling of like they see all that you could be. You know, they see the potential in you. They see this ability for you to transform. And they hate, again, to see you in this energy. Like, they see all that you could be. They see your potential, I think, even when you don't fully realize your own potential. And so I feel like your future spouse is meant to come into your life to help you transform this energy, to help you fully realize your own power. Again, it's not like they're saving you, although it may come off to you like that in the beginning, like they're trying to save you, and you're so independent. I think that would be very off-putting to you. But, you know, you kind of have to forgive your future spouse or give them a little bit of grace in that area, because it's coming from a very genuine, well-intentioned place of just like wanting to help. You know, it feels like your future spouse has a really good heart, and they recognize their privilege. They recognize the aspects of their life where they've had it easier than others, you know? And so there is this desire to give back in that way. But yes, with the chakra fairy here, they see all that you could be. You know, if your chakras were aligned, they could see you as this beautiful fairy, this point of abundance. I'm also reading this book right now. Gosh, what's it called? I'll put it down in the description box. I think it's called Tomorrow. I don't know. I'll put it in the description box. I'm just starting it, but they were in a car accident. That's what it was. And they had multiple surgeries when they were younger, and so now they walk. They don't have to have a cane, but it is difficult for them to walk, and sometimes they have to use a cane. And so their roommate is someone who was assigned to them, and this is at Harvard University, and they help them. But they help them in a way where it's not obvious that they're helping them. Like, they notice that the elevator in their dorm is always broken down, and this character has to sometimes take the stairs, and that is really hard for them to do. And so they just suggest, like, hey, like, let's get this off-campus apartment, and it just so happens this off-campus apartment is very nice and always has a working elevator, and the other character, the main character, can't afford this, and so they're like, oh, you just pay me like what you would usually pay for the dorm, and I'll take like the larger room, so I'll pay the difference, even though the larger room is only like a couple feet bigger than the smaller room. So like, it's very clear that they're trying to help them, but not in a way that makes them feel like they're a charity case. And it's because that other character has come from a very wealthy, privileged background, and so to them, giving isn't that big of a deal, because they could give and give and give and still have more than enough because of this privilege that they've come from. And so, you know, they express this sort of willingness to help others, but to them, it's not really that big of a deal to help, because again, they have so much that they can give that they can't afford to give. And so that's kind of like the dynamic there. And so you may be a little bit uncomfortable with that, because you're like, I can take care of myself. I've been doing this. I don't need your help. You know, that's the Queen of Swords kind of energy coming out there. But again, it comes from a genuine, loving place. All right, let's continue on now. We have protection, and we have dreams. It does feel like there's a little bit here, there's a little bit of a psychic connection going on here. Like, you may have had some strange dreams before you meet this person. They have maybe had some strange dreams before they met you. You know, there could just be some signs and synchronicities they've been seeing, and maybe you were doubting that, you know, questioning that. But it does feel like, is it Sleeping Beauty? Where there's that song where it says, I think I've seen you before when I walked once upon a dream, something like that. I could be totally butchering those lyrics, but it feels like, oh, like I've seen you before. Where have I seen you before? You know, and it feels very like this energetic kind of, oh, we're on the same wavelength, you know? And then with this protection card, again, it feels like they want to protect you. It feels like they want to help you. It feels like they want to take care of you. But I also feel like you're the person of their dreams. You know, you're the person they've been waiting for, the person they've been wanting. it kind of feels like when they would describe you to their friends, it might be a little bit difficult for them. Like they may even feel kind of protective over you even as they're describing you to their friends. Like they don't want their friends to judge you. You know, like they don't want their friends to misunderstand you. Like they don't want their friends to feel like, because I feel like you're in a difficult situation when you meet your future spouse. And I feel like from the outside looking in, it may be easy for other people to judge you and your choices and the difficult things that you've had to endure. You know, until someone has been through it themselves, it's easy to judge, right? And so other people may only know bits and pieces of the story and they may judge you, but if they knew the whole story, they would feel a lot of compassion for you. And so it's almost like your future spouse is protective because they don't want their friends to preemptively judge you for your current circumstances, you know? And so, and that could be also because their friends also come from a privileged background and they've never had to go through the type of things that you've had to go through. Trust. It really feels like this is what your future spouse just wants you to know. Like this doesn't even feel like something related to them talking about, you know, this reading is a lot deeper than just how they would describe you to their friends, okay? Like your future spouse is coming through and just like wanting you to know, like you can trust me. I can handle your story. Like you can trust me. You can share. It's safe for you to trust me. We have square, a challenging situation and a mountain to climb. We have, actually want to put this in the middle here. We have the 7th house. So this is Libra, profound relationships, intimacy, and romantic partnerships. And we have the 4th house. This is Cancer, cultural and family roots, home, peace, and comfort. Give me 1 second, I just have to close my door. So these could be significant placements in your birth chart, but honestly, it kind of feels like your future spouse is aware that there's going to be challenges and like getting you to open up and getting to know you, and they're expressing that to their friends. Like they know that you have had difficulties in past romantic partnerships, difficulties with family members, difficulty with friends, any of your close interpersonal relationships, there could have been a difficulty there. 4th house, there could be difficulties with your financial stability in relation to home. There could be difficulties with, you know, again, like your family, your roots, your sense of comfort. There could just be challenges in your life in those areas, and your future spouse is aware that that is why there are some walls up. Because if your sense of home and safety, if your sense of being able to trust other people and interpersonal connections is threatened, how hard is it going to be for you to get to know someone who's been through that, right? Like if you've been hurt in these areas of your life, it is incredibly difficult for you to open up and trust other people again. It's so much easier to self-isolate when you've had challenges in these areas. And so it's almost like your future spouse is saying, I am up to the challenge. I'm not going to give up on this person. I am willing to overcome this challenge. And like, it's almost like your future spouse is saying, like, you can trust me in these areas. Like, you can trust that I'm not going to threaten your sense of safety and security. You can trust that I do want to build a stable, safe, secure home life with you. You can trust me in the area of partnership. I like how there's 2 birds here, and then here there's the nest with the 2 eggs. Like, there's just this feeling of like, you can trust me to build this home with you. You can trust me to build that nest. And again, like, this is where your future spouse would be protective over you, and probably like if you do open up to your future spouse, I feel like there's a lot that they wouldn't share with their friends. You know, like they would only share things in bits and pieces because again, like there's this like feeling of like they don't want their friends to preemptively judge you. And it's almost like they feel like they would because they're like, my friends haven't been through these things, they may not get it. You know, it's like they recognize their privilege and they recognize the privilege of their friends. And it's not that their friends are bad people, it's just that you don't know what you haven't been through, you know? And that's kind of like in human nature to judge, you know, like we judge a lot. And so, especially, you know, I think in the spiritual community, we're a bit better about recognizing that, but, you know, their friends may not come from that kind of background, that kind of world, you know? And so it doesn't mean their friends are bad people. Again, like they just don't know what they haven't been through. You know, we all have biases, we all have prejudices. So, you know, it's important to recognize that. And at least your future spouse does. You know, they have a lot of self-awareness, which I think is really refreshing. I'm sorry, pile 2. It just keeps coming up over and over and over again. We have, oh my goodness, mystery and open up. They are determined to get you to open up emotionally to them. They are determined to get you to be vulnerable with them. And it's almost like, you know, your future spouse opens up to you. Your future spouse is vulnerable with you, but your future spouse hasn't been through half of what you've been through. So even though your future spouse is opening up to you, it's going to feel imbalanced just because they haven't been through what you've been through. And what you've been through is quite intense. And so I think even though they've shared maybe their whole story with you, you are still going to take longer to share your story because your story is just more difficult, more heartbreaking, more challenging, you know, more emotionally intense, just by the nature of what you've been through. And I think that mystery, you know, wanting to open this door, wanting to unlock you, is quite attractive to them. You know, I do think your future spouse like sees this as a challenge and like they want to, like, again, like the more you pull away, the more they want to know. But I think it's more than just like they're curious, you know, like they're not just trying to satisfy their own curiosity. It comes from a well-intentioned place of wanting to help you. Okay, we have the duck and the chrysanthemum, luck. Aw, I really like to see that. Let's actually put that here. And then we have the butterfly and the snowdrop. We have hope. I love that. And we have the finch and the peach. We have romance. Aw, okay. Yeah, these are beautiful, beautiful messages. I think we need to see the light come in here. So it feels like a stroke of good luck to them. You know, like they do feel like you two were quite lucky to have met. And it may be sort of like this divine timing, divine intervention. It does feel like your guides are involved in how you guys meet and how you come together. And it does feel like you represent a lot of hope to them, but also like they want to be this to you. Like they want to be, like they want to represent luck in your life. They want to represent hope in your life. They want to represent romance. It's like these are the gifts they would like to give to you because they feel like you deserve it. And again, like they see you in this butterfly kind of way, you know, like they want to see you break out of that cocoon. They want to see you transform. Like again, they see so much potential in you that I don't even think you recognize your full potential the way that they see your full potential. All right, let's look at the archetype that they will be viewing you as. Oh, this isn't surprising. Okay, I really have to explain this card though. Okay, it says damsel. Light attributes. Understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Shadow attributes. Waiting for a knight to provide you seduction by romantic illusion. So, remember in the very beginning we had this 8 of Swords. This looks like a damsel in distress, right? And we had also the 10 of Swords here. This looks like a damsel in distress, right? This looks like someone who needs to be rescued, right? there may be, again, a little bit of that coming through. And that, I think, is very off-putting to you, okay, with the Queen of Swords. You're not a damsel in distress, but you are a damsel. Remember, we're talking about energy, we're not talking about gender, but you are this damsel. And if you read the light attributes, understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. This is where you're at, okay? So I do think in the beginning they may perceive you as this damsel in distress, but as they get to know you, they see that you're this Queen of Swords. They see that you are that hermit, okay? And this is, again, someone who's quite empowered. So it's like you could get yourself out of this, but it's just recognizing your own power, recognizing that. And they do see you as someone that they could have a healthy romance with. They do see that you could rely upon yourself. They do see, again, your potential, I think, even more than you do. It's quite positive, really. But they want to help you empower yourself. They want to help you take back control, take back your life. They want to see you move towards that vision that you have for your future. They want to help you get out of this stuck energy, because this stuck energy is really just an illusion. You're not stuck, pile 2. Okay. And I think this is also coming through because your future spouse's friends may be looking at it like, oh, they're trying to save that person, they're trying to, help that person, and they may see it in an imbalanced way. And I think that's also part of why your future spouse is not sharing so much. Like pile 1's future spouse was like gushing and going on and telling their friends every little detail. Your future spouse is holding your story close to their chest. Like they're not sharing every little thing that they know about you to their friends. They're a lot more private and a lot more, again, protective over you. And I think that's why you can trust them with your story, because they're not going to broadcast it to the world. They're going to keep your secrets, okay? Like they're very trustworthy. They're not sharing your story to anyone, and they're not even, if you do allow them to help you, they're not going to make a big deal about it. They're not going to tell everybody, hey, I helped this person in this way. They're not going to do that. Okay, let's look at the message now. So this is a message from your future spouse's higher self, what they want you to know at the time that you are watching this reading. I'm sorry, but you did get trust. I just love it when these messages repeat like this. Like, it's so cute to me. I love it. You got trust and trust again. Okay, transformation. We were talking about transformation too with the butterfly. Stop it. Okay, I'm sorry. This is making me like so excited. It says transformation occurs through acceptance. Once you accept the current situation, it will automatically transform. So if you can accept your current circumstances, it feels like that moment of acceptance is when your future spouse would come into your life. Now, if you feel like you already know your future spouse, then this could just be like a message of you to accept their help. And accept that you are in a position of needing their help, their assistance in some manner. And it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to receive help and assistance, and that doesn't make you weak, okay? So just take whichever message resonates, or feel free to claim both. But yes, pile 2, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope that it brought you everything that you needed to know. Thank you so much for letting me do this reading for you. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads or do any of the things that I just listed. I want to say a huge thank you to the subscriber who suggested this reading. And also, if you guys skipped the intro, if you can let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the thumbnail, because I am experimenting with different thumbnails. So I would appreciate that as well. And yes, I will see you in my next one. Take care, pile 2. Best of luck to you. My heart goes out to you. The 8 of Swords and the 10 of Swords are difficult energies to be in. So again, like wishing you well, wishing you the very best. Take care, pile 2. See you later. Hi, pile 3. So last but not least, we are going to be looking at your oracle card that you selected at the very end of your reading. So we're going to put this to the side. We'll be shuffling your tarot on camera, and then we have pre-pulled oracle cards. So I will say, with the deck that you chose, I know that you didn't intentionally choose this, but it is the deck that we matched with your oracle card. I used a different tarot deck for each pile. But with this deck that you chose, you could be a huge animal lover because this is the Tarot Cats tarot deck, or you could just be someone who is really spiritually in tune. You're in tune with the universe, you're in tune with Mother Gaia, with nature, with the animal kingdom, you know, just someone who is a little bit more tuned in than the average person, or even by the standards of, like, you know, the spiritual community. All right, so pile 3, let's find out how your future spouse would describe you to their friends. Pile 3, how would your future spouse describe you? Whoops. To their friends? What do we need to know, please, Spirit? Pile 3, and a big thank you to my guides and your guides for coordinating these messages. Pile 3, what do we need to know, please, Spirit? Pile 3. That is way too many cards. I am a little bit more intentional, I would say, or careful with this deck because the cards are so slick. So I don't take, you know, I see a whole chunk of cards come out, I don't take them necessarily. Pile 3. How would your future spouse describe you? Whoa, to their friends. Pile 3. And I actually want to clarify this Knight of Cups here. Can we clarify the Knight of Cups, please, Spirit? And can we clarify the Knight of Wands? Okay. Bottom of the deck here, we have the High Priestess, so we'll put her to the side. All right, so I'm not surprised at all that you got the High Priestess because we were picking up, just based upon the deck selection, that you were more spiritually in tune. So you may have some psychic abilities. You could be just someone who is really tuned in with their own intuition. You know, you're watching a tarot reading, so I'm assuming that you have an interest in spiritual topics. So, you know, you could be really into astrology, obviously tarot. You could be into, you know, like crystals and things like that, energy healing. You could be someone who's into yoga, meditation, you know, things like that could be significant for you. And I do feel like this is quite different from your future spouse. I don't think that your future spouse has, you know, an interest in these topics, or maybe they've never been exposed to these topics before. And so you would be opening them up to, you know, spirituality and these sorts of things. So they may not have any knowledge of like tarot, you know, and you could introduce them to that. But I feel like they would find that quite, I do think that they're interested, you know, like I think that your passion for it makes them interested, makes them want to know more. And again, like you just seem so unique, so different. Okay. So we have the Knight of Wands, we have clarified by the Two of Swords in reverse, we have the Six of Cups, we have the Knight of Cups clarified by the Ten of Swords, and we also have the Hermit card here. So the Hermit card also came up in pile 2 as well. So we have a lot of zodiac signs represented here, and like I was telling pile 2, I wouldn't get too caught up in the astrological signs, okay? Like, we're gonna get a lot of zodiac signs. This is a general reading, so there are lots of people watching, but also just because of the topic that we're discussing today, a lot of this is going to be when they first meet you. So a lot of it is about their perception of you and maybe not necessarily who you actually are. You know, this is more, it's a little bit deeper than a first impression, but it's still, we're discussing how they would describe you to their friends in the early stages of the relationship, of the connection. So it's not going to be necessarily who you are, but more so their perception of you in those early stages of the connection, okay? But we do have fire sign energy, so Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. We have Cups energy, water energy, which is Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. And then we also have Virgo energy coming through as well. So, and I also associate the High Priestess with Pisces energy too, just because I think of like, you know, that connection to the spiritual realm, and that just always reminds me of Pisces energy as well. Okay. But yes, so going back here. The way they would describe you to their friends is also something that I think is going to evolve over time. I think that you are difficult to pin down. Like, you're quite an enigma to them. Like, you're hard to figure out. Like, just when they feel like they've got your number, like they know who you are, I feel like you transform a bit. So you could have a moon in like Gemini, you know, you could have a moon in Scorpio, you know, like where like your true nature is either hidden or it changes quite frequently. Like, there's just something there about you transforming a lot, you know, like you're different in different situations. Like, there's different sides to you. Almost like they're showing me, this is a very cute image. They're showing me a crystal, like a multifaceted crystal, and there's different sides to the crystal. And so it's like they get to know different sides of you, and they like what they're seeing, is what they're telling me. Like, they like that about you. They like that you are, you know, you're not someone who they could stereotype, you know, you're not someone that they could pigeonhole or put into a box. And they like how dynamic you are, is what they're telling me. They like these different sides to you. And so there's this self-reflective, introspective, independent kind of side to you that they like, you know? They like that you're in your own energy. They like that you're not easily influenced by outside external circumstances, you know, or people or situations or thoughts or beliefs, you know. They like that you go your own way. They like that you follow your own intuition. They like that side to you. They like your spiritual side. But then they also appreciate the way in which you've had to emotionally overcome and, you know, mature through difficult situations, you know. Like, I do think similar to pile 2, you've been on your own in a lot of ways, or you've been forced to be on your own. And so I do think they admire that about you. You know, they admire that emotional intelligence and that willingness to overcome difficult situations. And yet you're still very giving to others with this 6 of Cups, you know. Like, I think that they really admire and love your empathy and your compassion and your willingness to give to others and your willingness to love people who are difficult to love. You know, the way that you're so emotionally mature is something that they really admire. They love how, even though you've been hurt and burned before in the past, you're not closed off. You're still willing to be open. And so I think that's the difference between you and pile 2, is pile 2 is very closed, and this feels like sort of an evolved energy from pile 2. And so it feels like you are just this willingness to be open, and this willingness to share and, you know, sort of share your wisdom that you've learned from this pain. You know, like, you have found purpose in the pain, and they really admire that about you. There's a lot here about the admiration and respect that they have for you. With the Knight of Wands clarified by the 2 of Swords in reverse, they appreciate and understand that you've had to make difficult situations that you've had to make difficult decisions is what I meant to say. And that you have been at several crossroads in your life and that you have not been stuck by it. You know, this is the difference again between you and pile 2, is that you've made the movement, you've made the change, and you go after like what you want. And so it does feel like, again, like they just have so much respect and admiration for you. And so like when they would talk about you to their friends, it's like the conversations would shift over time. Like as they got to know more about you and got to see these different sides of you, how they describe you to their friends would change over time. And they're like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what I found out about them now. Like, you know, and I think that there's a lot of like, there's many moments where you continue to surprise them, is the message that's coming through. But I also feel like they would convey that respect and admiration they have for you to their friends. Let's see if we have any other messages coming through. I think that's it so far, like initially. Because I do think you're quite hard to pin down. You know, I think it's quite difficult for them to even describe you, you know? It's almost like when they talk to their friends about you, they're like, you just have to meet them to get it. Like you just have to meet them, you know? And so I think that they may push for you to meet their friends sooner rather than later, because they're like, you're just so different that I think it's hard for them to put into words. And even when they think they have finally figured you out, you know, some other side to you emerges, or they find out something else about your past and they're like, whoa, what? You know, so I think that honestly their initial impression of you, again, may be quite different to their, you know, once they get to know you better, how they view you. I think it changes, you know. I think there's a lot of transformation here in how they view you. And so it may be a bit slower in terms of how this connection develops. You know, it may not be like, you know, love at first sight. Like pile 1 was just like head over heels. Like the minute they saw, you know, their future spouse, they were like, whoa. With you, pile 3, it feels more like slow and steady wins the race. Like it feels like it evolves naturally and organically over time. And that's not to say that one is better than the other. It's just a different love story. Okay, we have magical powers. I weave and clear, I cast and know, magic secrets to me now show. And we have harmony. As I create, I will share harmony divine with love and care. Okay, I can read these cards separately and I can read them together because there's 2 different messages coming through. If we read them together, it feels like your future spouse really recognizes that part of like your magical power, part of like what makes you so special, is the way that you're able to create harmony between others. Like you're so empathetic and compassionate, you can see different sides of people's like stories and viewpoints, and you can mediate really well between people who aren't getting along. You know, you can help people find common ground. Like you would make a great counselor or a great therapist, you know. You would understand, you know, how to help people improve their mental health and how to help them improve their connections with other people. That's just something that you would be really great at doing. I also feel like you're really good at keying into the energies of other people. So you would make like a great tarot card reader, for example. Also though, if we read this separately, this to me makes me think that they view you as like this really intuitive, like psychic person. Like, how did they know that? How did they pick up on that? How did they, it almost feels like you, here's what it is, here's the dynamic. They have a very difficult time figuring you out, pinning you down, like understanding who you are, like you're always changing and evolving to them, whereas you see right through your future spouse. Like you have them pegged from day one, you have them figured out from day one. And I think that's kind of funny to your future spouse. I think sometimes that's frustrating to them. I think sometimes that's what draws them into you, why they're so attracted to you, but also in some ways like why they're a bit intimidated by you in some regards. They're a bit scared of you in some regards because you see right through them. And again, this does feel like opposites attract in many ways to me. And then like with harmony here, it does feel like, again, like you balance each other out. Again, that opposites attract, like you guys find harmony in your differences. We have energy, we have empowerment, and we have love. Yes, so this does feel like, oh, I guess I can read this. Love, a steadfast embrace of the heart, flows through and from you at all times for all time. The determination of your mind and soul will guide you towards unleashing your inner power. With limitless energy, you'll achieve more than you ever dreamed possible. So again, you guys kind of feel like the sort of evolved energy of pile 2, because it feels like you have overcome difficult circumstances and found your sense of empowerment and transforms the energy around you. You know, it feels like you've worked in like co-creation with spirit. Again, it feels like you're a very spiritual person and like you've mastered this sort of law of attraction and following your intuition and taking inspired action and, you know, asking and receiving help, you know, but also being grounded. You know, it just feels like you move through these different energies with ease, you know, and you accept what is and you don't fight against what is, you know. And so it really feels like this empowered energy that you have, again, may create a little bit of intimidation. You know, your future spouse may be intimidated by you in some ways, you know, like, again, it feels like out of respect, like, wow, this is an incredible person. And there's a lot of love here. There's a lot of love. There definitely is, you know, and again, it's like energetically, they just are very drawn to you. It's hard for them to put into words what it is about you that they find so attractive. It's just what is, you know? And I think energetically you're very restorative to them. I think when they get off the phone with you, or, you know, you guys have just had a date together, I think that you kind of restore them. I think there's something very healing about your energy. You know, you just create a sense of peace and contentment. You know, pile 1 was like euphoric joy. Yours is a softer love. It's very comfortable. You know, it's, like I said, very healing, very peaceful, and it's both spiritual and both grounding. And that's where that beautiful balance comes in, because it feels like you're very spiritual and it feels like your future spouse is very grounded. And so I feel like you guys empower each other and you kind of help, again, bring that balance to one another. And this is a relationship where you could learn a lot from each other. And so that's something they would tell their friends about you, is like, I've learned so much from this person. I've grown so much as a result of knowing this person. Let's see what else we have here. Oh yeah, we have divination. Okay, pile 3. Are you guys tarot readers? I'm just saying. Oh, and we have energy again. Energy again. There's something about just being in your energy that they just love so much. Like you don't, it's not even like what you're saying or what you're doing. It's just your presence in and of itself is very rejuvenating to them. It's like when they're feeling like they're very sluggish, it's like you give them a pep in their step. When your future spouse is feeling like very restless, you bring that sense of peace and calm to them. It's like, and again, it's like a crystal. It's like a crystal. Like, you know, there are different crystals for different things, right? Like if you're feeling low in your heart chakra, people would be like, oh, you need some rose quartz. You know, if you're feeling like you have bad energy around you, people would be like, oh, you need some obsidian. You know, if you're feeling low in your self-confidence and your creativity, people would be like, oh, you need some citrine. You know, it feels like you act as a crystal in their life. Like what they're needing feels like energetically you are providing. And again, it's that nurturing. Like you would make such a great therapist. And not saying that you're serving as a therapist to your future spouse, but it's just that energy. Like you're so soothing, but you're also like, like a good hype person, like you make your future spouse feel more confident when they need that. Like you just are a very supportive person. You're very supportive. And I think that they just love that about you. They just love how you seem to intuitively know what they need. And you respond to that. And I think that may be a bit, it may be a little bit scary to them in some aspects, and it could be why this relationship develops slowly over time, because they may be a little bit cautious of being too dependent upon you, and they may have some self-awareness around that of like, I have to give to myself too. I can't rely so much on this person giving me what I need. And so I do feel like there's this awareness that they can't become too dependent upon you, which is very good, like you don't want that. We have the Hound and the Pear, we have loyalty. And we have the Weasel and Pine, introspection. Yeah, I think that you are going to shine a light on some of the aspects of themselves where, honestly, your future spouse may be very extroverted, and you may be more on the introverted side. And that's not, again, to say that you're not sociable. I just think it's a different dynamic, right? Like you, as a more introverted person, need that time to yourself to recharge, just like a crystal needs to recharge, right? Crystal gives a lot to others, but a crystal needs time to recharge, and we do different things to recharge our crystals, right? Like the light of the moon, or some sort of cleansing ritual, or selenite, whatever. Like you need time to recharge. And then an extroverted person needs other people, needs that socialization to feel recharged. So you guys recharge in different ways, and you get your energy through different means. And so that's why you guys work really well together. But it's also like your future spouse is understanding your needs as well. And so they're like, okay, I see that my needs in some ways are at odds with their needs, and I need to be responsive, So there may be a period of adjustment there. Your future spouse may want to spend more time together than what you are comfortable with, and you would have to express that need. But I do think that you have enough emotional intelligence, enough maturity to be able to do that. And so I do think your future spouse is also aware of their tendency towards codependency, and so they're willing to meet you there. Because remember, like, no one is perfect, right? Like, we all have our stuff that we have to work on. And so I do think that I think you guys are both mature enough. This does feel like a more mature pile, that you guys would be able to respond to each other's needs in that way. And also, that would be a time for them to spend more time with their friends, right? Like when you need their space, they could rely more upon their friends. And with loyalty here, I just think that this is one of the most beautiful aspects of any connection, is a sense of loyalty to the other person. Like, I think that's so important, so important. So I think that if there was ever a time or a situation where they needed to defend you to their friends or defend you to their family, any sort of misunderstanding or miscommunication, they would be 110% loyal to you. They wouldn't speak ill of you to their friends. Like if you guys have an argument or a fight, they're not gonna go run and badmouth you to their friends. They may ask their friends for advice, but they're not going to put you down and disparage you or call you nasty names or things like that. They're going to still be loyal to you, even if they're not quite happy with you in that moment. We have Saturn here, feeling restricted, experiencing struggle, learn through hard work and patience. This is Capricorn energy. And then we have the 8th house. This is Scorpio energy, transformation, karma, facing fears, and legacies. So like I was telling the other two groups, I have been watching Sailor Moon for the first time as an adult. So you guys are gonna hear me probably reference Sailor Moon a lot because I've been binge watching the 90s version. But These two cards, like in conjunction with each other, make me think of Sailor Saturn in the show. So Sailor Saturn, obviously Saturn, but also Sailor Saturn is representing the Death card in tarot in the TV show, and she has the ability to destroy planets. But when she does that, she herself must die as well. And so in the show, she ends up being reincarnated, and she is reborn as a baby. And also, like, the character of Sailor Saturn in her, like, human form, like, gosh, I'm blanking on the character's name. If you guys remember, I think it starts with a H. If you guys remember, or if you guys know the show, put it down in the comments. But anyway, she is sort of abused and goes through a really traumatic childhood because her father is possessed by this evil entity, and they are basically using her for these experiments and trying to, she's basically possessed, okay, by this evil entity herself. And so, you know, her childhood is very sad and very tragic. And so this makes me think, like, in conjunction here, you, pile 3, have been through quite a lot. And so it feels like a lot of this wisdom that you have, a lot of this emotional maturity, intelligence, this connection to spirit, this connection to your intuition, is because of this most likely difficult childhood that you went through, and kind of like this feeling that you were raised by the universe, you were raised by spirit, because maybe your parents or your caregivers weren't offering you the love and nourishment that you needed. And so even from a young age, you had this connection with spirit, and spirit intervened, your guides intervened to help you. And so you were raised by spirit, and because you were raised by spirit, your compassion level, your intuition, your psychic abilities, your understanding of your place in this world is so much more evolved, I think, than the average person, because you were a child of the universe. Now, if you're not resonating with that message, it could just be that you had some difficulties, some hard lessons. Maybe Saturn is like your ascendant. You know, maybe you're a Capricorn rising. Maybe you have your Saturn in the 8th house. You know, maybe you just have your Saturn in a difficult placement in your chart, in your birth chart, and you've had to overcome quite significant challenges. You haven't had the easiest of times. And so this ability for you to transform through hard work, through understanding, through like learning things the hard way, I think is quite impressive to your future spouse. Again, there's a lot of admiration here. And I think that you've had to overcome quite a lot of fear by relying upon the universe, by relying upon faith and spirituality. Like, I feel like those things were hard earned for you. You know, your faith is something that you practice. Your faith is something that you put effort into. Like, you understand having faith is a skill. We have spy and we have trust. Okay, I do feel like your future spouse could like be talking to their friends about you, and they could be showing you, showing like your social media accounts to their friends, and not in like a bad way, but just like wanting to be like, look at this person that I met, this, you know, and their friends could even ask like, oh, what's their Instagram, what's their Facebook, you know, things like that. They could be showing them pictures of you guys together. Could even be that you're meeting your future spouse through social media, but that's not going to be for all of you. Let's see, what other messages are coming through? I like the balance here between spy and trust. It's almost like this card came out, and then like we have this trust card to be like, okay, like, wait a second here. Like, this isn't in a negative context. Like, you can still trust me here. I'm not going to be sharing all of your personal information. I'm not going to be sharing like text messages between us. It's not going to be like that. It's just more of like wanting to show you off, you know, like wanting to be like, look at this amazing person that I met. You know, it's a sweeter kind of energy, but you can still trust your future spouse not to divulge, you know, especially like if you open up about this, they're not going to be divulging that to everyone. Okay, let's see what else we have here. We have gift revealed. And we have too many dragons. Okay, there's a lot of messages with this too many dragons card. Your future spouse may be a little bit, especially if you guys meet on a dating app with the spy card there, there could be a little bit of worry that you're talking to other people, worry that you're dating other people. You know, and this feeling of like being in competition with others and having to win you over. There could be a little bit of that. There could also just be that you guys both have very busy schedules and that you guys are both just slam-packed in your day-to-day life, and you guys have to navigate and figure out how to devote time to each other and how to balance your schedule to make time to spend that quality time, you know, with one another. So that could be, you know, just in the beginning, like you guys have to figure that out. With their friends too, there could be too many opinions, you know, their friends could be all offering up a different opinion. And so they would have to be like, whoa, 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 like, I know this person, you guys don't know them, like, you know, and they might have to kind of put their friends in their place a little bit and, you know, be like, you don't know them like I know them, so, you know, let me figure this dynamic out on my own. And that could be like your friends, I'm sorry, not your friends, their friends. It could be that their friends are like, why aren't you guys like official yet? Why aren't you guys, you know, they could be trying to either slow the connection down or move it faster. And your future spouse has to be like, hold on guys, like, we're moving at our own pace. This is our relationship. This, you know, like, mind your business. You know, it could be a little bit of that coming through as well. Or it could even be that their friends are like pushing, you know, to meet you, and your future spouse is like, when the time is right, when the time is right. That could be a message coming through as well. With gift revealed, it does feel like, especially with the purple being here, it feels like there's a real sense of divine intervention here and divine timing is at play. And it feels like sort of like you guys meet at a time when you're meant to. You know, it feels like, okay, you know, Spirit's been holding back this gift from you, and then the blessing is revealed. And the blessing is this person, is this connection, is this person that's going to be, you know, the person that you marry. And so it does feel like you guys are representing a gift in each other's life. It also feels like, though, like gift revealed, like your future spouse may hold back you meeting their friends, and it kind of feels a bit mixed. It feels like some of their friends may be introduced to you quite early on, and then other friends maybe they don't meet you right away. It's almost like they're selective, because I do feel like your future spouse has a wide social circle, and so some of their closer friends you may meet early on, but then other friendships, maybe they hold back introducing you. And I think it's because there's conflicting opinions going on. Like the people who are supportive of the connection will meet you sooner, and the people who are, you know, offering up too many opinions without really knowing you, your future spouse may hold you back from meeting them or introducing you to them. It feels like your future spouse is quite selective about which friends they're telling certain things about you to, and which friends get to meet you, and which friends, you know, will meet you later on. It feels like they're quite selective about that. Okay, let's find out which archetype your future spouse is seeing you as. We have the Mystic. I'm sorry, this is just like every single pile today has just lined up quite perfectly, you know, like I don't know, it just makes me so happy. It's why I do this, it's why I enjoy it so much. I mean, bottom of the deck you have the High Priestess, right? And based upon your deck selection, I said in the very beginning, it feels like you guys are really in tune with the universe, spirit, Mother Gaia, you know, the animal kingdom, all that good stuff. And then we have the Mystic, you know, and I mean, I feel like we've gotten repeated messages like hinting at, you know, possible like psychic abilities or, you know, a real connection again to spirituality and an interest in that, and that you would be like a good tarot card reader, stuff like that. And the fact that we got the mystic here, it just all is lining up very perfectly, and it's making me very excited and very happy. But it says light attribute revels in intimate union with the divine. That's a perfect way of describing it. Intimate union with the divine. Remember, we got that message of you being a child of the universe, like you were raised by spirit. And then, like it feels like that would be why you're kind of hard to put into a box. Like you know, spirit by nature is slippery, right? Like it's the unseen. It's very dreamlike, it's very ethereal. It's not something that's grounded and rooted that we can point to and like touch and hold, right? And so it kind of feels like you have that energy yourself, like you're hard to pin down, you're hard to describe, you know, like there's just this ethereal sort of dreamlike quality to you that I think, again, is very alluring to your future spouse. And also in some ways quite intimidating, because again, it's the mystic, like you're seeing right through to their core and they're not seeing you. And so it's like that opposites attract. Feels like they're very grounded and you're very spiritual. All right, so let's look at your oracle card. So remember, this is a message from your future spouse's higher self that they would like you to know at the time of this reading. We have balance. Oh, well, that makes sense now that I'm looking at the picture. It says balance. Love is not always about agreeing just for the sake of it. A great relationship is one that both supports and challenges. Yeah. It feels like, again, opposites attract, but it feels like you guys are meant to learn quite a lot from each other. You know, it feels like there are lessons here to be learned. And so I feel like they're bringing you down to earth and you're bringing them into those higher chakras. You are connecting them to spirit in a way they've never been connected before. And so there's this beautiful like push and pull between you. And so yeah, that may be challenging and difficult at times. You know, you guys are coming from two very different perspectives on life and on like the meaning of like why we're here and our purpose. And so together, like imagine how powerful, imagine what you two could create together if you met in the middle, you know? And so I do think it's going to take a little bit of compromise, a little bit, and that's why it's great that you guys have this like mature energy coming through, because I do think it's going to take quite a bit of understanding and a willingness to hear the other person's side, to understand like where you're coming from versus where they're coming from. It does feel like you're meant to learn quite a lot from each other. And so that's the purpose of it. Like if you're wondering why this person came into your life, yes, it's love, it's romance, but it's also to help you evolve. And so I think you, again, are bringing them into the spiritual realm, and they are bringing you into this grounded, earthy reality. And it's quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful. So yes, pile 3, this was your reading. Oh my gosh, this has been one of my favorite readings I have filmed. Like I just feel so good. I feel quite energized after this reading. This has been a wonderful reading for me to do. So thank you so much for letting me read for you today. I hope this reading resonated, and I hope it brought you everything that you needed to hear. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads or do any of the things that I just listed out. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel, a huge thank you to the subscriber who suggested this video topic as well. And yeah, take care, pile 3. I'll see you in my next one. Best of luck to you, and yeah, I hope you have a great day.